story if they're willing to hear more. It can be exciting to experience the commonality that we can see at the end of the muddy rainbow of petty grievances. We begin to mature. So as we open up the space, we can see what's really important. And sometimes knowing what's important is a stretch. We know what's on the surface, we know what we're upset about, or we think we do. There was a man named Dr. Jerry Jampolsky, you may have heard of, who once said, "We're never upset for the reason we think." So it's really well to look at, what am I really upset about? What's important to me? And how are we doing on time? Does anybody
We still have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So we can ask ourselves what's important, and there's an exercise I like. I'll just describe it, and if we have time, I'll come back to it. If you want to find out what you're really upset about and what's important, just ask yourself that question, what's important? And when you answer it, ask yourself again, well, what's important about that? And keep asking yourself, well, what's important about that? And it's really a revealing place to go. You'll find out something about what you really believe and where you really are. So I'd like to go to a more general discussion of conflict now. That was enough about me. The meaning of the word conflict, it's from the Latin confligere. Is Anthony here?
He's right there.
How's that? Confligere? Okay. It means to strike together. Strike together. And you can see the image of the spark and the fire beginning. That's the definition of conflict. So Saul Alinsky, who knew a lot about conflict, once said that only in the frictionless vacuum of abstract world can change occur without the abrasive friction of conflict. So we need it. We can try to avoid it, but we can't. So we might as well embrace it. The causes of conflict. Some of the causes of conflict are the thoughts and beliefs and values that we have. I think, for me, there are two important ways to look at the causes of conflict. One is unmet psychological needs. For example, the need for control and the need to be right. And I know them both well, and they don't work. Needing to be in control and needing to be right, they do not work. So as I try to let go of them and invite you to do the same, there's more harmony, and in the conflict you have, there's more space for commonality, there's more space to explore and come up with creative solutions and not getting stuck. Unmet expectations are also in the way if you want to have constructive conflict. If you come into a conflict expecting that the other person will give you A, B, or C, and that you will come away with the whole pie, don't go. Stay home. Unmet expectations are really a killer for harmony and commonality. I think we all know that, but making it work, really making it work, takes work. So how do we come to constructive conflict rather than emotional runaway conflict? We can learn to appreciate conflict as a time of exploration, and we can create the right climate. There is nothing to be gained by going into a conflict angry, hungry, tired, stressed out. Create the right conflict if you want to have some kind of benefit from the conflict you have. And so I'm talking about constructive conflict here. Learn to avoid what's called relationship conflict. Relationship conflict is emotional, strictly emotional. It's not about the task at hand and solving a problem. Relationship conflict, I don't like that name actually. Emotional conflict is that which you enter into with it's all about me, first of all, and my feelings and what I want, and I can really get emotional about it. That kind of conflict is not the right climate. So before you enter into a conflict, you might create a don't-do list. What could get in the way of the main thing? You can acknowledge your past habits of interrupting, controlling, checking out, and leave them at the door. Try something new and avoid that old baggage. So, something I lost here. Okay. It's good to remember that there is something important enough for you to decide to address it through conflict. Okay? And as Stephen Covey put it, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. It's easy to say, but not so easy to do. So keep reminding yourself of, why am I here? What is it that brought me to this place of conflict, this willingness to be vulnerable and authentic? What brought me here? And keep reminding myself that I need to keep the main thing the main thing. Some of the benefits of conflict, constructive conflict, that is, we become aware of that problems exist. There are times when we know there's a feeling in a relationship or a group that we don't like, but we're not really sure where it comes from. We don't realize that there's a problem. We just know it doesn't feel good. So we need to allow ourselves to address and bring to awareness those things that are problems. Vernon Howard put it this way: we are enslaved by anything that we do not consciously see. We are freed by conscious perception. Another benefit of conflict is, by engaging conflicts, we don't let them fester and ruin our relationships. I know I have put off conflicts and caused myself and others a lot of pain when, if I had addressed them in the beginning, created a good climate, and then addressed the problem, I could have saved us a lot of suffering. We're invited to be more creative in finding solutions. When we have two opposite sides, that isn't all there is in the world. There are other things as well, and we can just peek around the corner and see what's there. Bring it in. We learn about others. The way people argue, the way they address conflict, tells us something about them, and we can learn from them. We can also learn more about ourselves. What is it that we do in the midst of conflict that is positive? What do we do that is positive? And what do we do that leads to more contention and less harmony? We can look at that. Managing conflict